Hello, and welcome back to TeaBookClub. We're an international group of tea lovers and readers who get together to read books over a 2-month period. Every month we have a new book title, and we meet at the end of the first month to share our social meetup online, where we have a theme from the book, or perhaps an author or someone coming along to speak to us. And at the end of the second month, we meet up for our discussion meetup, where we talk about the book, what we enjoyed, what we liked, things we found interesting, things that inspired us, or even things that we weren't so keen on. I also, during the month, I will make suggestions on reading, and you'll get check-ins on to keep you going and to keep you up to speed. So, for example, with this month's read, I've made some suggestions on different ways of reading the book. Our read this month is The One Taste of Truth, Zen and the Art of Drinking Tea by William Scott Wilson. And this book is predominantly comprised of poetry that is used in the Japanese tea room, and translations and explanations and thoughts on those poems. Now, one of my suggestions for reading this book is, because it's quite a lot to actually process and take in, is firstly to read the introduction, because that's really helpful to give you a grounding into the background of Zen, the tea room and tea ceremony. And then if you don't feel like reading cover to cover, you could pick a couple of readings from each chapter, perhaps the first 2 readings from each chapter, or you could pick a chapter theme and read the chapter theme. That way, just kind of taking a more varied approach to reading the book. With that in mind, I'm going to take the approach of reading a little bit from each chapter in the 5-minute readings over the next few weeks. So I will read the first or a couple of excerpts from each chapter as we go, and that way you get to have little snapshots from the book. But I won't necessarily do this in order, because I will jump around, pick and choose, and we'll just enjoy getting little snapshots of what the book is about. And that's a great way to read it, and also just to get something, and then you can go deeper and explore more in a chapter if it really captures you. For more on that, and to get on the mailing list and get those kind of updates and ideas in your inbox, head over to TeaBookClub.org, or you can find us on Instagram at joinTeaBookClub. So, to the 5-minute reading. So this is the chapter entitled Fundamentals. This is actually chapter 1, page 1. En, or Enso. This is the circle signifying the freedom, impartiality, and equality of the Buddha, in which nothing is lacking. It is the symbol of absolute or true reality, and therefore of enlightenment. The Enso is a popular subject in Zen painting, and perhaps more than in the calligraphic art itself, is said to demonstrate the painter's state of mind. It is usually executed with a single brushstroke, with the end of the brushstroke often trailing to meet the beginning. In this way, the Enso indicates that the world is at once both perfect and imperfect, absolute and relative, or perfectly imperfect. It is the slightest misshapen tea bowl from which we drink tea, said to be the flavor of Zen. There's an interesting anecdote concerning an Enso in the Pienlu, the 12th century collection of Zen koans. Nanchuan, Kuei-tsung and Ma-ku were travelling together to offer ceremonial salutations to the national teacher Chung. When they reached the halfway point, Nanchuan drew an Enso on the ground and said, "If you say a word of Zen, we'll keep going." Kuei-tsung sat down in the middle of the Enso. Nanchuan said, "If that's it, we aren't going any further." Kuei-tsung said, Where is this man's mind going?" Pienlu, case 69. Now that requires a bit of sitting and thinking and pondering, but let's continue. Like Kuei-tsung, we may wonder what's going on here, but it would seem that the man of Zen is neither totally within this Enso nor outside of it. Some commentators have speculated that the Enso has its origin in the full moon, often a Buddhist symbol of enlightenment. But however one wishes to interpret the Enso, it is considered to be an absolute test of the balance and spontaneity of the painter's mind, or mind, with a capital M. and the best or most interesting are often displayed not only in tea rooms and Zen temples, but in martial arts dojos as well. Indeed, the great swordsman and painter Miyamoto Musashi said in essence that the stroke of the sword and the stroke of the brush are the same, that with each stroke the mind of the practitioner could be observed with certainty. This is reflected in the Chinese dictum, when the mind is correct, the brush will be also. The same can be said for the ladling of the water, the movement of the whisk, and the taste of the tea. Although the Enso almost always appears by itself, it is sometimes accompanied by other Chinese characters, as in, eat this and have a cup of tea. 2. Mu, emptiness. This is no doubt the best known Chinese character in Zen literature and calligraphy. Variously translated as emptiness, the void, non-existence, or the origin of all things. It is etymologically related to the character for dance, the archaic form depicting a man or woman adorned ornamentally going through dance-like movements. Could this indicate the empty receptive mental state reached by dancing shamans or shamanesses? Or could it simply represent, as the folk etymology holds, a forest burned to nothingness? In the 3rd or 4th century, Lao Tzu, the man who is said to have established Taoism as a philosophy, had this to say: 30 spokes make the nave of a wheel, yet it is the non-being at the centre of the wheel that is the wheel's utility. It is the needed clay that fashions a pot, yet it is the non-existence inside the pot that is the pot's utility. It is the chiselling out of windows and a door that make a room, yet it is the non-existence in the door and windows that is the room's utility. Therefore, it is by existence that we set the stage, but by non-existence that we have utility. Tao Te Ching, Chapter 11. Mu has become known to students of Zen, and so to adherents of tea and tea practitioners of the martial arts through a koan in the Wumen Kuan. The case goes as follows. A monk asked Chao Chu, does a dog have the Buddha nature or not? Chao Chu said, Mu. This koan has bedeviled Zen monks and students ever since the 13th century, when Wu Men, the monk who compiled the Wu Men Kuan, made it the first of the barriers Zen aspirants would have to solve, and this after beating their own head against a pillar. That was 5 minutes, I'll just finish this paragraph. This after beating his own head against a pillar while in his 70s as he tried to grasp it himself. It is interesting to us because although Mu in this case has most often been translated as no, or it has not, the meaning of the character is non-existence, which is the state of mind, Mushin or no mind, Buddhists are encouraged to attain. Wu Men went on to further explain the character in his commentary for the same case. But that is more than 5 minutes, so you will have to get a hold of the book and read it. I'm looking forward to discussing some of these things when we meet up at our social and at our discussion meetup. So head on over to TeaBookClub.org or to join TeaBookClub on Instagram, and those links are below, and come along and join us. I look forward to chatting with you.